So, I love New Zealand. I keep it in this bag. It was the first back to school shop that I did, and so kids who live in poverty or come from, difficult backgrounds. But this little boy just gravitated towards me, and he asked me if I was an angel, and it was like, no. And he said, well, then you must be a princess. I said, have you enjoyed today? And he said, yes, it's been the best day of my life. And I was like, oh, good. And then he said, I've had a lot of bad days. And he proceeded to tell just his bad days, and they were pretty bad. They were pretty bad. He was given this crown, and he said, this is for you. You're meant to have it because you're a princess. When I go into the cupboard to get all my needles and stuff that's needed for the infusion, this little crown is in the bag with it. So when I'm taking everything out ready for the nurse to come to my home, I just look at this little Burger King crown and think, well, okay, if Michael can do hard things and he's had really bad days in his life, then I can do this infusion. Kia ora. Hi, my name is Kerry Owen.
Kerry Owen founded the charity Feed the Need to provide lunches to disadvantaged school children.
She's on a mission to feed the need.
I think all children deserve the best, and they're all beautiful.
Kerry Owen, mother, businesswoman, and now guardian angel to hungry school kids, providing tens of thousands of free lunches.
I just felt this real drive within me,
It started with a dream to feed
and I thought I could do something.
a need. You can read that one! And change thousands of lives.
She's advocated for children in care.
So charity will hand out 30,000 free meals to primary school students.
On behalf of the Queen of New Zealand and all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements, and I thank you for your service to our country.
I remember setting the table one day in our family home when I was younger and seeing on the news these orphans in Romania and the terrible conditions they were in. That really impacted me as a young girl, and I told my mum that I wanted to do something about it. So I handwrote all these letters until my hand was hurting and dropped them off on each house down my street asking for canned goods. What saddened me was that hardly anyone donated. And that was a really hard thing to accept. But if anything, it made me more determined to carry on and help. I was given a series of 3 dreams where I saw children that were going hungry in my dream. And I didn't know where they were, but I knew that I had a responsibility to do something about it. And I would say the formal charity stuff began then. It was just a normal day. I was a busy mum with 3 little ones. I lay down that night not realising that my whole life would change. I ended up having this dream where I saw children that were going hungry. I was really distraught seeing these children who were suffering. I looked down at my feet and there was a basket of food, and I was so grateful for this basket of food, and I started handing it out to the children and just telling them that I loved them. When I woke up from that dream, I felt like I'd been given a calling through that dream. And so my job was to try and find where these children were and to be able to feed them. I was hoping that I would have these baskets of food just appear at my feet, but it never happened. Yeah, I had 2 other dreams. And again, the second dream was I saw the same children who I would eventually actually meet in person. You know, I have a belief that when we die, there's life after death and we're going to be reunited with family and friends. We're going to know each other. We're going to have this reunion. When I first spotted a boy that I recognised from my dream, I lost it emotionally because it was just like, oh my goodness, it's him. And when we connected, I felt like there was like a special reunion. And I wish I could have told him. I wish I could have told him that I'd seen him in my dreams and that God knew him and that God wanted me to do something to help alleviate his suffering. I never told him, but I'm hoping in the future he'll find out my story and find out the truth behind the charity Feed the Need. I think initially, when I had the dream, I woke up, wrote down the details of the dream, and was determined to do something about it. But then, you know, having 3 young children, you know, to run around after, and having put in an application to adopt as well, I kind of thought, well, I feel like someone else would do a better job. Like, I'm so busy. I have my health struggles. Like, maybe someone else would be better than me at doing this, more capable, have more time, have the finances. And the other thing is I wasn't even from New Zealand. I was from England and I didn't really have many connections. And so I kind of felt like, am I really the best person to do this? But the second dream, I felt this like guilt that I hadn't started and I hadn't done anything about it. And I felt, in my dream, I apologised to the children. And so I knew after that, okay, busy or not, we're going to do this. And that's when we found out that we've been selected to adopt our daughter, the 4th child. Again, that question, how am I going to do that with a newborn baby and 3 other children to run around after? There's always a reason why you can't do something. There's always a good reason. You can always find a good reason to not do something.
I woke up one morning and as I opened my eyes, Kerry was kneeling above me on the bed, like obviously waiting for me to wake up, and she was crying her eyes out. And in my mind, I was like, what has happened? I thought some disaster had happened. And she said, do you trust me? And I was like, and I also remember feeling my heart rate going like, wow, what's she going to say? And then she said, I need to empty our bank account for something I've just dreamt about. And of course, when a wife is crying and there's that much earnestness in the line, the answer was yes. But I didn't know what I was trusting right then. That didn't unfold for a long time afterwards as she started to use the money towards building up an organisation that could feed kids. Now, I thought that was a loan. It's just like, yeah, help yourself to money, we're going to get the money back. And about 6 years later, we were at a date night and we were just out for dinner. And she looked at me across the table and she said, you know you're never getting that money back, don't you? I said, I figured that by this amount of time.
So I had seen this school principal on the news, and he was talking about the issue of children going hungry at school. And everything he said aligned with everything that I felt. And I thought I need to connect with him. So I ended up writing him an email and I never got a reply. But a year later, when I was finally ready for Feed the Need to get going, I got this email back and it was from him. And he said, I found you in my spam. And he said, I'd love to meet. And sometimes, you know, we have this idea of the right timing. But I knew in that moment, oh my goodness, this was the right timing. I would not have been ready a year ago to be able to do anything. We met and he was like, let's do this. And in fact, he went out and got other principals to come and meet with me in his school. And that led to being able to expand the work. There was a time where financially we were struggling, physically I was unwell, and I felt like I was kind of failing in every role and letting people down, letting the children down from my dreams, letting my own children down. I just felt like it was just all a bit too hard. I actually knelt down in prayer and asked if I could quit now, because I was tired. felt like I couldn't be everything to everyone. I wanted Heavenly Father to tell me that it was okay, that you can quit now. And something happened in that prayer. Basically, people who were suffering, images of them came into my mind. I didn't hear any words, but I knew that that was my answer. I just needed to carry on.
Kerry Owen says she could feed kids for $1.83 per day, all of the kids in need for $4 million. I mean, it's less than the price of a motorway overbridge.
Yeah, it is a parental responsibility to actually provide food for their children.
You can blame the parents, but the bottom line, Minister, is these kids are still going hungry.
I do not know a school that lets a child go hungry in the day.
But you don't know that if you're not measuring how big the problem is.
Well, I think that at the end of the day, we know what the schools know about their own community, and they know what is happening, and we back them to be making the decisions that are right for them.
If it comes up to this line, that feeds 400 children. So if it's halfway up the line on both, that's not enough.
For Kerry Owen, though, the problems facing hungry children are far too big, too important, to be left to charity.
I suppose I'm now begging the country, actually, to step up and help, make a change for these children. And then I'll be able to get enough sleep at night, because I've lost a lot of sleep.
What's your message to government?
That it needs to invest in these children, that it actually should be a top priority. These children deserve the best. They are the future of New Zealand, that's what I believe.
One in 5 families in New Zealand don't have what they need to be able to provide every day. But it's going to take us a little time to fix that. So in the meantime, we've decided that for those kids where it would make the biggest difference, we're going to put lunches for all of them in their schools.
When the government introduced food into schools in New Zealand, I cried on and off for about 2 days. Sorry. I felt this relief. So that was amazing. That was a really amazing time, just knowing that the cries of the children had been heard and that they weren't going to have to go hungry anymore. That was really joyful for me. And my husband was tapped on the shoulder and said, would you consider taking a job in the States? It had never been a plan of mine. If we rewind back, I just wanted like a little cottage on the outskirts of a village in England. I never realised that I would be travelling the world, because I have actually got a fear of flying. I have a cousin that lives here, and he and his friend had set up this non-for-profit charity. So they asked if I could direct it. It wasn't like a paid role, but just like if I would be willing to do it. And I remember praying and asking God, is there a need for another charity? There's so many charities here. And the answer was, yes, there's still great need. That's when I was like, okay, all right then, I'll do it. I did kind of envisage having a little bit of a break, but straight away it was a case of, okay, I need to find these gaps.
I'm busy, you'll have to come back.
Get lost, I'm coming in. No. And so ended up visiting with a school district and just asking what the gaps were. Ken, can
Yes.
you kind of run through some of the gaps that you have in your school district?
Yeah, you bet. We're actually the second highest in the state, so we're right around 70%.
Wow.
So 2 out of every 3 of our kids qualify for free and reduced lunch.
And so, do you think that there's a need for like hygiene products, clothing? Like, what do you think would be a gap that we could try and fill?
Yeah, for sure. We always have needs for those type of things. We have a need for school supplies, we have a need for clothing, we have need for hygiene and cleaning supplies as well.
Like laundry
and
detergent
food.
and
Yep,
things?
Yep,
Okay.
laundry detergent. And even though they may not be our students yet, they are still part of the families that are involved with that. So we have need for diapers and wipes and those type of things, baby formula. All of those are our needs for our families in our community.
I'm reminded that my dad grew up in poverty, and he was one of 11 kids, and they didn't have all the hygiene things. Food was, a scarcity. And it kind of really has this knock-on effect in everything that you do when you're living in that situation. And I remember him saying that when he got his school lunch, that he was able to concentrate in the afternoon, whereas, in the morning he couldn't concentrate, he was just hungry.
I've had the privilege over the last 5 years to work with Kerry Owen and Reach Out Today and help fill a lot of the gaps and the needs that we have for our kids here in Ogden. They provide a lot of different pantry packs for our families. We've also had our pop-up salon that we've done at some of our schools where they've organized volunteers who work normal day jobs in salons, and they've come into our schools. We've cleared out an area and identified kids who would be interested and in need of getting haircuts and shampoo and basically getting cleaned up and giving them kind of a new look. And it's been a huge success.
Kerry helped us build this building. Young adults who age out of foster care are really an underserved population. A third of those will end up incarcerated or in jail within 2 years. And so we wanted to do something about that to fix it. And so in partnership with Kerry and the Salt Lake Rotary Club, we were able to write a $2.9 million grant and built this building. And we are 100% employed.
The opening of the Transitional Housing project, and I really felt like this was what God wanted me to do. And I will probably not meet those hundreds of youth that will end up in that transitional housing, but I feel this love for them. I feel like I've tried to advocate for them. And so it's a relief knowing that there's more housing for these youth aging out of foster care. So when they cut the ribbon, that was very joyful. It was like, okay. I don't have to lose sleep over them anymore.
Partners like Kerry and Reach Out Today help provide some emergency food for our kids if they run out, or clothing, gift cards and incentives for Christmas or successes. And we love to celebrate graduations and birthdays and life events because they don't have families, so we become their families and we rely on donors to do those things.
When refugees arrive, they often arrive with nothing, just the clothes on their backs. And so I really was thinking about them and thinking about how do they manage with the transport? How do they find out which stores to go to get certain things? I sat down with some of the refugees and asked them what foods that they typically eat. I just thought it would be nice to have a little welcome pack to help them feel like they belong.
I bring my kids, and she bought her shoes, for every single of them, for 5 of my kids, she buy clothes and shoes, and I meet her that time.
So we do get people donating through Venmo onto the Reach Out Today Venmo, and so we can use that for different things depending if they specify what they want to help with. So some people say, this I want to go to kids entering foster care, or this money I want to give to the refugees. But also we have now introduced a new pack for refugees that people can go on to Just Serve and get these items and put them together and donate them to refugees that are arriving in the country. It's a real thing about working together as a team, everyone volunteering their time or their talents to be able to help these people that arrive with very little. And also they've been through trauma. So I mentioned in the book about having that dream about refugees that were arriving, and you could hear their cries, and that has never left me. That is just, it's almost haunted me. And so I know that they come with trauma. Being able to reach out and just let them know that you care is really important. A couple of months leading up to this, knowing about this book, every time I prayed, I'd pray, okay, Heavenly Father, what do you want me to do? I kept having this word advocate, to advocate. It kind of confused me because I was like, well, that's what I feel like I'm trying to do, advocate. But there was a situation with a refugee woman. She has 6 children and she ended up getting this life-threatening health issue. And I was praying and I was saying, but she's got 6 little children. She's already been through so much. She's been through wars. She's had to flee. They've had to bury one of their children. Like, how will her husband cope? How will their children cope without their mum? And I was praying and praying, and my children could hear me crying. and I made a promise to Heavenly Father that I would advocate louder, that I would be bolder and advocate for these refugees. And so it was shortly after this that I received an email from Emily at Cedar Fort about this project. This was a way that I'd be able to advocate for those that I serve. That gave me the confidence to say yes.
I'm like, I'm gonna sing to her in Portuguese, of course. The calling of the mother is sacred, and it's a partnership with Jesus Christ. And when I finished the song, teardrop came through her eyes, and I knew she was listening. And later I promised to her that me and my brothers, we would always be strong in the gospel of Jesus Christ. After I said those words, she stopped breathing. And then I'm like, wow, she's gone. And then I felt like I didn't see anything, but it was such a powerful thing. Everything that I learned about temples and families, everything made a lot of sense to me, and that built my testimony.